Right now, somewhere in your freezer, there's probably meat. A chicken breast, some ground beef, maybe leftovers from last night. You didn't think twice about putting it there. But the fact that you eat meat at all, that your body craves it, digests it, and runs on it, that didn't happen by accident. It happened because of a decision made millions of years ago, not by you, not by your parents, by something that barely looked human yet. And that decision changed everything. Here's what most people assume. Early humans hunted animals, ate meat, got stronger, got smarter, and eventually built civilization. Simple, linear, obvious. But that's not what the evidence says. The actual story is stranger, more violent, and honestly more interesting than that. Let's go back about 3.4 million years. Before Homo sapiens. Before Homo erectus. We're talking about Australopithecus, a creature that walked upright, but had a brain closer in size to a chimpanzee's than yours. In 2010, researchers in Ethiopia found animal bones from this period with something unusual on them. Cut marks, made by stone tools, deliberately placed, deliberately deep. Something was scraping meat off bone 3.4 million years ago, and whatever was doing it was not yet human. That pushed the timeline back by 800,000 years from what scientists previously believed. But here's what makes that finding important. Those marks weren't from hunting. The leading theory is that these early hominins were scavenging. A big predator, a lion, a leopard, would make a kill. And once it walked away, our ancestors moved in, fast, before the vultures, scraping whatever flesh was left. It was dangerous, it was desperate, and it worked. Think about that. The first meat-eaters weren't hunters, they were thieves. Now here's where it gets interesting. For a long time, scientists assumed meat-eating was just about calories. More food, more energy, survive longer. But in the 1990s, a biological anthropologist named Richard Wrangham proposed something that flipped the entire field. He argued it wasn't just eating meat that changed us, it was cooking it. His theory, called the cooking hypothesis, says that when hominins learned to control fire and cook food, including meat, everything changed. Cooked meat is easier to chew, easier to digest. The body extracts far more energy from it, which means less time eating, less gut needed to process raw food, and more energy redirected to the brain. Wrangham's argument is that cooking didn't just feed our ancestors, it built the brain you're using right now to process this sentence. The fossil record backs this up. Around 1.8 million years ago, Homo erectus appears. Bigger body, significantly larger brain, smaller gut, smaller teeth, all the signs of a species that had shifted to a higher quality, easier to digest diet, one that included meat, regularly, deliberately. By this point, scavenging wasn't enough. Evidence from sites across Africa shows coordinated hunting, ambush strategies, weapons made specifically to kill large animals. These weren't opportunists anymore, they were hunters. And that shift, from scavenger to predator, required planning, communication, cooperation. Some researchers argue it's one of the reasons human language developed at all. You can't coordinate a hunt with grunts alone. And then there's the social side. Meat changed how humans related to each other. When you scavenge fruit, you eat alone or in small groups. Everyone grabs what they can, but a large animal kill produces far more than one individual can eat, which means sharing, which means obligation, which means the earliest version of social contracts. You help me hunt, I give you a portion. You feed my children today, I feed yours tomorrow. Anthropologists believe meat sharing is one of the foundational behaviors that created human social structure. Every family dinner, every barbecue, every table where people sit down and eat together, that instinct traces back to a carcass on a savanna and a group of hominins figuring out who gets what. By the time modern Homo sapiens arrived, around 300,000 years ago, meat wasn't just food. It was embedded in culture, ritual, status, and survival strategy. Cave paintings across Europe and Asia show hunting scenes with extraordinary detail. Spears, traps, coordinated pursuit. This wasn't just eating. It was identity. And the body adapted completely. Human digestive systems, stomach acid levels, enzyme production, all calibrated around an omnivorous diet that includes animal protein. We didn't just choose to eat meat. Over millions of years, we became built for it. So here's the full picture. 3.4 million years ago, something not yet human scraped flesh off a bone with a rock. 1.8 million years ago, a larger brain species was hunting deliberately, and possibly cooking what it caught. A million years later, meat sharing was building the social bonds that would become human civilization. And by the time anyone was painting on cave walls or sharpening spears with intention, meat was already ancient history. You didn't decide to eat meat. Evolution decided it for you. Long before you existed, long before your species had a name, the freezer, the butcher, the grill, those are just the latest version of something that started with a desperate creature sprinting toward a lion's abandoned kill on an African plain. We just got better at it.